The theme of this panel discussion is to discuss about the importance of training or skill development for achieving manufacturing excellence. We have four industry leaders with us from Sansera Engineering, Toyota Group of Companies, Kennametal India, as well as Distinct Productivity Solutions, representing the major sectors in terms of automotive sector, machine tool sector, automotive components, as well as aerospace manufacturing, and general engineering components manufacturer from the MSME sector. And I'm glad to introduce the panel members. We have with us from my left side, Mr. Chandrasekhar Sharma, Director at Kennametal India. Welcome you, Mr. Sharma. And we have with us Mr. F.R. Singhvi, Joint Managing Director from Sansera Engineering. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
And then we have with us Mr. Bharat Ram, Vice President Production from TAEI of Toyota Group. Welcome you, Mr. Bharat Ram. And we have with us Mr. Ramaprakash Holla from Distinct Productivity Solutions, who is in manufacturing, into the manufacturing of engineering components. Well, the theme of the discussion is to know about the industry perspectives of skill development and the importance of training amongst the manufacturing industries. While the need of skill development is much talked about, debated about in the forums, many of the forums, how really it's getting implemented in a practical manner in the industry, let us hear their views. Before I hand over the stage to the panel members, inviting questions, let me brief about IMTMA's training initiatives. IMTMA, Indian Machine Tool Manufacturers Association, established technology centers at Bangalore and Pune, mainly to impart technical training to all the working professionals from industries. The tech centers have the state-of-the-art training facilities and equipped with CNC machines, metrology equipment, CAD/CAM CAE, automation equipment, robotics, and all the other concerned accessories to impart training in a practical-oriented manner along with hands-on training in all the areas including design, engineering, production, assembly, quality, maintenance, etc. In other words, right from the entire design through manufacturing cycle. These training programs are applicable for working professionals at all levels, right from junior management, middle management, as well as senior management. And the duration ranges from 2 to 5 days of duration and are available from IMTMA technology centers from Bangalore, Pune, as well as at Gurgaon. These training programs are delivered by subject matter experts who come with rich experience of 30 plus years in industries with rich experience, hands-on experience. And using the training facilities available here at the technology centers, the classroom sessions are supplemented with the practicals so that the professionals undergoing training go back to the industry with implementable learnings. For orienting new recruits and trainees, IMTMA develops and delivers customized training modules either within the company or at IMTMA premises. Every month, IMTMA Technology Center is organizing 15 to 20 training programs pan-India basis, and close to 3,000 professionals are getting trained every year throughout India through 200 plus training programs delivered pan-India. That's in brief about IMTA's training facilities as well as training programs. Now let me start the panel discussion. To start with, I would like to hear from Mr. F.R. Singhvi on the point, why do you consider training or skill development is important for a manufacturing organization?
Thank you, AMTMA, for Started is more of a general nature, considering the total aspect of an education. And whereas every manufacturer or industry is into a sector specific, and so that sector knowledge to a large extent needs to be added on for the employee. That is one reason for training. And the second reason for training is that each company has certain specific requirement which is created in its functioning over a period of time. And that is something that is not available outside in a training institute or an educational institute. And so to make that person totally embedded with company's requirement, the training and skill becomes extremely important. And secondly, today the kind of technologies that are coming, the speed of technologies that are happening today in the world, it is extremely difficult for the college and university to keep track of them and change their syllabus and course to meet the requirement of the industry in a very short period. And therefore, for such technologies, innovation that come in, it is actually the sector which is bringing in those innovation have to bring in the training and skills, and as they become more in number, the college and university adopt it. In addition to that, today the world has come to a zero tolerance level. You would like to have a product which has no defect for not just 1 year, it is almost for a lifetime. And that being the case, the need to understand the job requirement, the product requirement becomes so essential that there is not only just training, a very fine tuning of training to the job and product is extremely necessary, and that could happen only through the organizational effort on training and skill. In addition to that, you need to retain employees and make sure that these employees continue to be engaged in a productive manner, meeting your requirement, enhancing your production, keeping your cost down, and for that they have to keep on enhancing their capabilities of the company's requirements, and that again requires a continuous training as such. And in addition to that is your competitive strength. I mean, whatever be the technology that is coming in, the automation coming in, everything has to finally be performed by the human beings. And these are the edges that you create over competitors, is to have a very skilled employees in your organization who are able to maximize the use of your infrastructure, your resources, and bring in those activities within the company. And today, like I am connected to auto industry, and in auto industry, there's a major change happening from IC engine to EV vehicles. So again, the question of new technologies coming in. There are certain domain knowledge that company has to acquire. There are certain joint ventures that company need to be done, and all these activities, therefore, again requires more and more specific. To meet the specific requirement of the company, you have to do a specialized course for the company alone, adding on to the general course. And this makes it necessary that training and skill in-house makes a difference. And the last point that I would touch upon is it is not just technical training that the organization has to do. There is also a cultural fit that has to come in. The commitment of the employee has to come in. The attitude of the company towards the functioning of the company has to come in. And these are all again to be imparted to the person from the company's structural point of view, vision point of view, and a mission point of view. That also requires a kind of training. For example, in aerospace industry that we are engaged in, we have to train a person the importance of his job as to why he has to produce a defect-free product, because a defect-free product, if a defect passes through our hands to the customer, and from customer it gets on to the aeroplane, and there can be disaster. And so this is the kind of training we impart, that your job is that it can create deaths for the people. And so these are all the various certain specific requirements of the company or the sector, the technology of the sector. All this cannot be addressed unless you have in-house skill and training in the organization. Thank you.
Well said, Mr. Singhvi. You highlighted the skill gap between the institutions and the industry. and you also highlighted the need of soft skills along with the technical skills required for the team members serving in the organization. And along with that, one more important point you stressed upon is that gone are the days where we talked about the rejection rate in percentages, then we came down to ppm, and today we talk about zero defect and yeah, zero effect. So today we are living in that area wherein the importance of training is correctly highlighted. We move on to the next question. I would like to have the views from Mr. Bharat Ram. Is training is an investment or cost? How industry should look at it?
Thank you, Mr. Krishnamurthy, for having this panel discussion. And on a very relevant topic, which I think probably is faced by every industry, is training. Is training cost and investment? Let's put it that way. I wouldn't say investment or cost, but is training cost and investment? Like Mr. Singhvi articulated, the need for training. The need for training comes from what a company's business plans are. Every organization today has got a short, mid, or a long-term business plan. And according to those business plans, there are necessary processes, machines being deployed. So organizations deploy machines, they adopt latest technologies, the methods, and then the material. But to leverage all these three to get the maximized output and to add to your business metrics, the fourth M, man, becomes absolutely essential. And having skilled manpower for leveraging the three other M's is absolutely essential. So in that sense, there is no doubt that training is an investment, because the return comes from the other three M's. Now, as long as the training program is decided based on the outcomes which are linked to the business plans, which an individual would have to contribute to the business plans, then it's definitely an investment. Otherwise, a training for the purpose of training turns out to be a cost. So it's absolutely essential that any training that you decide is linked to the necessary skill gaps that are bound to occur when an organization or a company adopts new technologies and new processes, and to leverage the upcoming business scenarios. And more so when there are challenging times like now when the business is faced with. It is very important for the people either in the shop floor or in the businesses to continuously innovate and continuously look for improvement. This is possible only when they are given the necessary skills and the ability to think. So to that extent, I think the training is, as I said, it's an integral part of any operations, and it can be seen as an investment. Another aspect that helps with training is that it helps you identify your potential leaders for the future, and by skill mapping and these aspects. So in sum and total, to conclude, if I were to say that training per se is an investment, the return on that has to be indirectly measured based on the performance outputs and the skills displayed by the employee. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Bharat Ram. You highlighted how training can be started off with a need analysis, so that to put the things in the perspective, in the right perspective, identify the training needs. Maybe a few industries, they call it as a training need analysis, or TNA. Then identify the training needs, then go ahead with the process or system of finding out the trainer and match the training requirements, and definitely the results would be able to justify the training cost. Nevertheless, the training needs to be considered as an investment, so that the organization's productivity and quality levels can be meeting the customer expectations, and the organization can be taken on the growth path. Thank you. However, there is a common complaint from the common comment or complaint, what should I say, heard from the industries is that people are leaving after undertaking training. How do I address this issue? This is one of the commonly asked questions when we are interacting with many of the industries, especially in the small scale sector. Maybe we can have the views from Mr. Holla on this aspect. Yeah.
Well, as Mr. Krishnamurthy said, I'm talking from MSME mass production point of view. Coming from MSME, we mostly cannot afford to have very highly skilled and from premium institutions. We cannot be hiring such people, and even if we hire by chance, they will invariably quit. So this is the situation we are in. But at the same time, Singhvi sir talked about the importance of the training, and Bharatram sir talking about the training as an investment. So it is important. It has to be invested. Then we have to think of how do we retain it. So something what we have practiced is that hiring the people for the will and training them for their skill. This is something what we have been doing, because definitely we cannot hire the highly skilled person because we are operating in a medium sector, a small and medium sector. So we will hire the people who is willing to learn the skills and then develop these skills with them. Then the question comes, when the person is not so, not from a very premier institution, not from a very good academic background, then how do we develop him for the requisite skills? So this is another, challenge we faced. So what we have found is that, eventually with the advent of new technologies, new methods of manufacturing, so many of the skills, operator skills, have to be shifted to the machine, so that the operators does less mistakes because the skills are shifted to the automated machines. And many cultural aspects have to be shifted to digitalization. With the industry 4.0 coming in and stuff like that, the classic case we did in our factory, there was always a big complaint about writing the production book. He's supposed to write the production, idle losses and all those things. So we used to face issues like the operator is not having a pen. He has not brought a pen. So it's as simple issues. He doesn't know how to write. These are the kind of very silly issues we used to face. Now we have made some sort of digital equipment attached to the machine, which will automatically sense the part count, the projections and the losses and stuff like that. So basically the culture has changed. The culture of whatever the cultural shortfall we had, we have shifted it to the digitalization. And whatever the rejections would come, we have shifted to the machine in the form of, let's say, POK-OKs, in the form of good fixtures, in the form of certain tool lives, the combine, so many things. There are umpteen number of production methods available to use them. So basically what happens, we have to involve all the business leaders. We are concentrating on capacity building, but we lag on capability building. So the trainings and these things come under this capability building part of it, where we have personally felt that the management's involvement with the operators, with the working people, with the middle management is the higher management. Invariably it happens, but it doesn't happen with the middle and the lower management. So we have to have some mechanism to increase this, so that our thoughts and our ideologies, they flow down the line, so that there's a saying like these soldiers, they will die for the leader rather than for the country. There is something like that. So they are more attached to the leader then the organization. So that is where we have to make an impact. So this is something we have felt, and also like when it comes to the when it comes to the skilled people, higher level skilled people, we believe in hiring more number of engineers and keep them in the bench, so that at least some will remain with the organization as assets and some will leave the organization, because we cannot stop people leaving the organizations, because this is their personal life, they have their own aspirations, so they leave. So those of people who leave us after getting trained, we treat that as our CSR to this country. So this is something what we have felt. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great, Mr. Holla. You nicely contemplated and highlighted about the golden words, hire for attitude and train for skills. I'm sure that is well said. And secondly, most of the times we concentrate on capacity building and maybe capability building we are lacking. Yes, that also is, I'm sure it's a golden word where which industry can take it forward. Thank you. Yeah. Mr. Singhvi, would you like to add your views on this point on addressing this manpower attrition after training?
Basically, when you have an organization where the concept of skill and training is imparted, you have multi-skilled people, then it is a norm that it's okay, out of 100 good people, two or five of them are leaving. You don't see the void. And secondly, like the flowing water is good water to have. So it's always not necessary that a person who has been skilled and is continuing in organization will continue to be an asset to you. There are other issues that come in. Complacency comes in, attitude changes can come in, and then there is also a mindset block can come in. So it's always good to have a fair amount of attrition in the company, so that new people are coming in, new methodology comes in, you have to train new generation in a different way. So actually I welcome people leaving the organization, and we feel proud when people leave and they go, because we know that they would do a good job, they would get better opportunities, because generally from a good trained company, when they go in, they get better opportunities, they think good about you, and when they come back and tell you that how grateful they are to you because what you have done to them by way of training, this is the level they have reached. I think that's the kind of response I would like to have. So more than CSR, I think it is more of a personal satisfaction to me that I need my people to go out and become leaders with other industry.
That's really great. Yeah, it gives it altogether different dimension. Yeah, and it's a brand building for the company as such. So when the one person leaves the company and joins other company, then he's going to carry on forward with whatever training and skills the organization had imparted.
And particularly if you joins your customer company, you can imagine the kind of benefits you get.
I mean,
Very
we would
true.
rather have a trained manpower leaving rather than, have them untrained and non-productive. I mean, so it's always
True.
better to have a trained manpower.
Yeah, yeah.
Those who are not willing to upgrade or not willing to upskill, such people have to really leave. Otherwise, it will be a liability in the long run. We cannot afford to have because nothing will stop. Their salaries will not stop. Everything will grow, because just because they're aged, we have to give everything. But if they're not willing to upgrade themselves, it's a liability. It is good that if they leave and join somewhere else, we can be friends.
In fact, the gurus of training, Toyota San, are sitting here. And I think they have the maximum training and maximum attrition as well. They like people to go and get employed elsewhere.
No, I fully endorse Mr. Singhvi's view that I think a degree of attrition is always good, because otherwise a certain complacency sets in, and then when there is attrition, you get in some new blood, and you get in new ideas, and that in turn spurs innovation. It improves competition. So a degree of attrition is always good, and yes, as Toyota, we have Toyota brand ambassadors in many industries.
Good, thank you. I hope the industry should take it on the positive stride, realizing these benefits and without bothering about the manpower change or attrition. Yeah, and now let us hear from Mr. Chandrasekhar Sharma on what potential benefits the organization has derived from IMTMA's training programs.
Yeah, Mr. Krishnamurthy, thank you so much for this. And let me tell you, in terms of as Kenametal, we participate both in terms of imparting training in IMTMA, and we also participate in IMTMA to have the training to our people. And there are two separate levels of training which IMTMA gives. One thing is on the existing employees who are already there in the system, the assembly guys, the design team, the maintenance team, the spindle assembly and things like that. I really appreciate the IMTMA in Tech Center as an excellent facility to actually facilitate this training and actually give hands-on training in these areas. And it's important to understand that upskilling is a requirement in the industry. And upskilling is something that an industry does not really have a time to do within the organization always. And it always helps to have an external person completely focusing on it with facilities, and IMTMA does a great job on that. That's one on the existing setup that is already there. The other aspect is those who come from the institutions. Now there's a lot of skill gap expectations who come from the institute, whether it is A grade institute or a B grade institute. Their level of training is in a way to build up their logical capability, not specific to any industry. Now when we talk about production scenario and things like that, it's important that they are also trained on certain fundamentals of production, fundamentals of looking at drawings and looking at machines, machine operations. So that I think IMTMA does a fantastic job in the finishing school. And I have seen people even from good institute, one thing we do is straight away put them into the finishing school over here. And there what I see is they're trained on the machine, they trained through the system, how the program is put, they trained on the IoT thing, they trained on how to manage, handle toolings, the inspection, the quality, the GD&T. I mean, it's all in all. So it's a 1 month training which happens from the finishing school, and it really helps. I mean, it shortens our time in the industry to actually integrate these people into our culture and our way of working as far as competencies is required. So I think IMTMA does a great job. And also with the shorter courses of, they have specific course of spindle management or maintenance, So it kind of upskills them very easily. And the third aspect of this IMTMA training is we have ready-made skill available when we want hiring to be done. And we want fresher to be hired. So a lot of freshers finishing school is what IMTMA does. And there are a lot of industry who actually take it from IMTMA because, as I said, inwarding them and getting them up to speed in terms of the competency and aggregating them into the culture becomes much easier and faster subsequent to the training that goes through IMTMA. So I'm really grateful that this has been set up, and I believe it is across India that's happening. Of course, Bangalore facility is the best equipped facility for this, but it really helps the industry with the association really helping us out with such facility and the training mechanism which is going through the year. And as Krishnamurthy was saying, more than 3,000 professionals have been trained, and industry really benefits from it. Thank you so much on that.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma, for your views and benefits, highlighting the benefits derived from IMTMA's programs. Let me summarize what we heard from the eminent panel members. We understood the training and upgrading skill sets is absolutely necessary for survival of the organization in today's prevailing competitive environment, and should be a continuous activity across all the functions of the organization, right from design through manufacturing. And apart from technical skills, the attitude building also should be a exercise. Attitude building and leadership development have to be undertaken. Soft skills need to be undertaken on a parallel track. And the second one, definitely training should be looked at as an investment, and The payback will be through the improved benefits, as Mr. Bharatram pointed out, from the productivity benefits, quality benefits, enhanced customer delight, etc., and leads to the company towards achieving manufacturing excellence as well as business excellence. And finally, we had seen that yes, the attrition should not be considered as a negative aspect, and definitely the organization should move on considering the positive benefits of the training, and and finally, how IMTMA can help the industries towards in this initiative towards skill building. As I mentioned, there are open house calendar programs available at Bangalore, Pune and Gurgaon. Every month about 15 programs are being announced, right from 2 days duration to 5 days duration for the benefit of working professionals. Then many of these programs can be conducted in the company premises as in-company programs, wherein the faculty will travel down to the company and deliver the program. Then also customized programs for working professionals as well as new recruits can be developed and delivered either at IMTMA premises or in the company premises. One more new initiative I thought it would be better to highlight at this point of time is about the e-learning initiative. Today's context, schedule becomes quite a challenging aspect in terms of working professionals. So e-learning is a complete web-based platform wherein the training modules can be accessed 24/7, and they are available in the web server. And as on date, 6 courses we have launched, and few more, 10 more courses are under development. IMTMA's vision is to develop 20 to 25 courses to be made and available on the e-learning platform, so that the technical learning becomes easier, affordable, and at much ease without disturbing the regular business hours or whatsoever it is. Then one more aspect is that trained engineers are available for placement, as Mr. Sharma highlighted. They can be groomed into, they can be oriented to your own requirements within the shortest possible time, since they are coming to you with all the fundamentals well trained. And we offer 3 long-term courses with the objective of making engineers industry ready. The finishing school in production engineering is a 1-month-long, 4 weeks intensive course, highlighting taking the candidates through the hands-on training approach in all the modern manufacturing aspects, including CNC machining, tooling, work holding, etc. The foundation course in automation and robotics is again a 5 weeks long course of 240 hours with hands-on training in all the automation domain, subsystems of automation domain. And today, when the industries are looking for implementing Industry 4.0 solutions, this automation and robotics form one of the fundamental blocks before we go ahead with Industry 4.0 implementation. Then third long-term course is focusing on machine tool design, where the duration is of 2 months or 8 weeks. And we deal with the complete design of a CNC machine tool, including all its subsystems. Many industries have recruited these engineers as graduate engineer trainees, including Toyota, Sansera, Kennametal, and a vast number of industries, including DPS. And they are serving, I'm glad to say that many of our past students are serving across multiple functions, right from R&D, design, quality, production, maintenance, etc. And we invite industries to take advantage of the training facilities at IMTMA for their benefits. And to conclude, I thank all the panel members for accepting our invitation and sharing your views, so that the benefit goes to all the industries. We look forward to your continued support and guidance.
Let me have the last word, saying that skilling is necessary to make in India program successful.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Agreed, and thank you so much.
Yeah.